This episode is brought to you by City BBQ, where red dirt meets hickory. If you've ever had real Alabama barbecue, and I mean the kind that makes you go, woo, after the first bite, then you know what I'm talking about. These folks don't just serve food, they serve up a whole experience. Fall off the bone ribs, pulled pork, smoke low and slow. And that seasoning they call all the things, cause it's good on everything. You'll find them at big events all over North Alabama. So follow them online to see where the smoke's rolling next. Well, it's another podcast. It's called Pickin It Out. It's another podcast. It's called Pickin It Out. We got Mr. Country Music Hall of Famer Mark Herndon in the house. Yeah, and we're gonna be picking it out. It's the only way to do that is hand it over the thing. Well, hey, y'all.
Superior rhythm track, though.
Well, hey, y'all. Appreciate y'all tuning back in to Picking It Out. Man, we got a real special guest today that I'm honored to have on the show here in the Country Music Hall of Fame. We got a big old statue, big old heavy statue in Fort Payne. If you're ever down there, check that out for sure. And we're honored to be talking to him today, and honored he's with us, Mr. Mark Herndon. How you been, man?
Everywhere. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me. I just live right down the road, so when you give me an intro like that, I'm wanting to look over my sholdder, like, who's he talking to? I'm just a local. I don't think about that stuff, all the accolades but it's nice to be reminded every now and then. It makes you feel remembered.
Well, you certainly are.
At my age, any attention's good.
You're certainly deserving of being reminded every day, in my opinion. What you been up to lately?
Well, let's see. I've always been a two-hat kind of guy. I've career musician for many, many, many years, and I've also been an aviator for many, many, many years too. And
that's awesome.
There's not a whole lot of stuff going on in my life musically right now, so I'm flying for a small private company in Fort Payne, flying a Citation, and I've been doing that for as many years as I've been playing drums. So it's a blessing in the fact that you never really get burnt out on one particular thing. I've got something else to fall back on or go do something else for a while. And yeah. I still play music. My wife, Leah Seawright, and I have a band, and we record. We're working on an album right now. She's got about 4 songs in the can. We'd like to have at least 10. Nobody does albums anymore, but we'd like to have some stuff on deck to put out on YouTube and maybe accompany a few of the numbers with videos. That's a work in progress. It's a lot of work. It's costly, so there's a certain amount of shopping that goes along with finding the right people. We did a great video, let me slow down. We released a single the beginning of this year before the election. It was a very patriotic, pro-America, pro-military type song. Mm-hmm. And we spent a lot of money on a very well produced video. Company down in Montevallo did it. We launched it. It took off like a rocket. The first day, I think we had like 30,000 views on it, and then it was starting to really go. And unfortunately, one of the streaming giants, all of the streaming giants actually got in line to ban it because at the time it wasn't cool to be pro-American. Yeah. And So we had that was a little bit of a setback. The song's still out there, but it just, once something like that happens on social media, you lose momentum.
Yeah.
So we've had to, it's a learning thing with me, especially with social media. I'm not a computer guy or a Facebook guy that much. So we learned a little bit from that. We're backing up and punting and going back to the studio and working on some actually even better things. I think that most of the time when you get a punch in the nose like that, it works out for the better. So I'm excited about those things. And then plus I enjoy flying. It's I flew for a major airline owned charter company for about 10 years up to just about a year ago. I retired from that. And then this has been a great little thing just to kind of keep my hand in the game.
Yeah.
And I enjoy flying and I enjoy playing music. How lucky can you be to get to do two things you like to do? So,
that's right.
Very blessed.
Well, you got to love the powers that be, Spotify and all these streaming services, and it's the music business.
I think if we had waited till maybe after the election, we might not have, it might have not got weird, but there's nothing I can do about it. No. So, I think you can do what's called like a redo. There's a technical name for it, but you can. I'm having a senior moment on what it's called, but you can change a couple of little, maybe a chord or a lyric or just one little thing in there, and technically you can re-release it as a new song, as long as it doesn't have the same exact digital footprint, and then you can call it a re-release. Whether we do that or not, I can't say. It's pros and cons there.
Well, man, how is it to fly something?
Pardon me?
How is it to fly something? I would feel like that would be just awesome.
My goodness, it is when things are going right and the weather's pretty and you're not rushed, it's a very fulfilling feeling. But it's tempered with a lot of responsibility. I by no means know even a lot about it. I'm a very cautious person, so I'm always trying to learn.
Yeah.
Every time I go up, I learn something, and as I think all people should that fly. It's a safe way to get there as long as you don't exceed your own limitations.
You ever run across anybody from the old music business days when you
all the time? When I was flying for the charter company, I ran into them all the time.
I figured you'll cross paths.
I'll try to make it brief. I've got a couple of stories. The first one that comes to mind was Daryl Hall from Hall and Oates. And 100 years ago, we were playing Farm Aid, and I think we were the headline that year. So it was during the heyday of Alabama. And Hall and Oates played, I think they played a couple of acts before us, and they had a dressing room right next door to us. And I went over to say hi. I said, love Hall and Oates, love your band, seen you guys live one time, blown away, that sort of thing. And Daryl was real nice and very engaging guy, and he said, let me show you something. I just got this guitar, and I'm not a guitar player, but it was like a collector's item guitar, and he was going to play it on the show, and he was all excited about it. And we finished, flash forward a little bit, we finished our set, and I'm walking back to dressing room area, and he's all upset. He's pacing around. He had a flashlight, and he's looking for that guitar. It went missing for some reason. And he's almost in tears because I don't think the money was an object, but it had a legacy to it, and he couldn't find it. So I jumped in my locker and got a flashlight and came back out, and we were looking under the trailer and all over the place. And I got our stage manager to go back and check on the stage to see if it might have gotten thrown in with our stuff somehow. And he's in a panic. And everybody had to go. It was time to move on to the next town. And I said, man, thank you so much for trying to help me find this. And he's just, really upset. And I said, I'm so sorry, man. Well, I didn't think anything more about it. And maybe now we're going to skip about 20 years into the future, 25 years. And I'm working full time for this charter company. And I get up in the morning, I look at the passenger manifest for the day, and it was Hall, Daryl. And we were picking him up, I forget where, somewhere out west, and flying him to Atlanta. And I thought, I wonder if that's the same guy. Well, he gets on the plane. Sure enough, it's the same guy, but he doesn't recognize me. I have a pilot's uniform on, and I don't have the long hair anymore. I just treat him like any other passenger. I never gurm people. I make sure he's happy, and say I give him his brief, and we take off, and we fly a couple hours, and we land. And I told my partner, the other pilot, I said, I know this guy, and he knew my partner. He knew my past and everything. Yeah. He goes, really? He says, you reckon you could get his autograph? I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I said, that's not cool. And he goes, okay, well, whatever. And so we land at PDK over there in Atlanta, and I'm, doing the stuff you do right when you pull into the FBO and the doors open. I'm standing by the door. I'm there, help passengers out. He's on there all by himself, and he steps down, and I hand him his briefcase, and he kind of just says, thank you. I said, by the way, and he turns and looks at me. I said, you ever find that guitar? And he looks at me like, no, it can't be. He says, no, I didn't. And I said, I'm sorry. I just kind of winked at him. He nodded his head, and he we knew that what was happening, but no, we were not going to make a big deal about it. He was trying to be low key, and I was trying to be low key. Yeah. But it's funny because he said no, he remembered.
Wow.
And, oh yeah, I've had quite a few. Had most of the celebrities. The only guy that ever recognized me right off the bat was Ronnie Dunn from Brooks and Dunn.
Yeah.
And he got on. I was up in the cockpit, and he got on the plane, and he came up there, and he stuck his head up in the cockpit. He goes, Herndon, what the hell are you doing here? I'm getting off this plane right now. And I knew him pretty well. He was just giving me a hard time. But
yeah.
We laughed, and it so happened that we had the rest of the day off, and they gave us passes to come to the show. And I thought I was going to get to sit in with them, but that would have been fun.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
But yeah, off and on, I had a lot of them. Most of them were pretty nice. A couple of them weren't so pleasant, but we're all human, Might be having a bad day. I don't ever pay that much attention to stuff like that.
Man, I knew there had to be some. You charter those. That's kind of a small world, really. I mean, the whole world of
it is. When I turned the page from Alabama,
yeah.
I wanted to be a civilian. I wanted to be an anonymous person. And I learned to fly right here in Fort Payne, and then when Alabama got the airplane to ease the burden of travel by bus, the pilot that came with the plane kind of raised me up through the ratings. And I always knew in the back of my mind, since I wasn't really a partner per se with Alabama, it might be smart to learn another trade, because the music business is so fickle. And you never know.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I pursued that, and I have a passion for it too. But two or three gigs later in the aviation business, I landed the the big charter company gig. But I was adamant, both to myself and anybody else that knew me, that said, we're not going to go. There's no past other than just what I've done in aviation. Nobody knew my affiliation with Alabama. Nobody recognized me. You're out of context. People don't think about it. In my NDOC class, when I first hired on, there was a guy that was a drummer also. And we're still friends to this day, Ken Marshall. He's from up in I think right around Lexington, Kentucky, and we sat next to each other in class, and we had our names. The first day of NDOC class, your name is in front of you on your little table there for the instructor. Mm-hmm. And, the first day you kind of introduce yourself and give yourself a little background, what you've been flying, where you come from, all that kind of stuff. And I said as little as I possibly could because for some reason, I just didn't want anybody to know. I wanted to be treated the same as everybody else. And he leaned over and he goes, do I need to know that name like I know that name? And I said, what are you talking about, man? And he says, I was at Rupp Arena in 1982 when y'all sold it out for the first time. And I said, don't you, if you say something, I said, make me a promise right now. I'm trying to be cool about this. He goes, I get it. So, and to his credit, he never said anything about it. And I was there a good 5 years before the cat ever got out of the bag. And by then, I didn't care. Yeah. It was kind of a game. But, he never said a word. And I got through my little psychological hang up about it okay without ever being busted. And
that'd be fun. So, kind of
after people got to know, it was great because it was a conversation piece. And it helped me make a lot of friends, and I discovered how many people in the aviation trade are musicians and how many musicians are fascinated with aviation. It's really something. Because flashback to the story I told you about Brooks and Dunn, we had about an hour and a half flight with him, and he was up front asking questions the whole time. Hey, what's that do? Hey, oh man, I've taken a couple of lessons. I've always wanted to do this. Blah blah blah. It's amazing how many people really the correlation there is really something.
Yeah. Well, I know Jamie Johnson's got his license.
He flies his own King Air.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Where was it? Just recently, I think I was in Wichita, and his King Air. We parked right next to his King Air. Yeah, but I just now learned that a little while ago. But yep.
Well, I think he flew it down here one day. Yeah. To go. I don't know. I think he wanted to see the fan club or something. I
and that's a King Air is a handful of airplane. That's if he's got I don't know if he's got a 200 or a 300, but I know that's if you're not. See, everybody thinks jets is easy. I've got it backwards. Everybody thinks jets are special and hard. No, jets are easy. The turboprops, it's like going from, if you go from a jet to a turboprop, it's like going from a Cadillac to a backhoe. I'm not kidding. It's busy, and there's a lot of levers, and you better know what everyone does, and you better be able to do it quick.
Yeah.
Cadillac's automatic, baby. You just sit back and punch a few buttons and enjoy the ride. But backhoe takes a little bit of knowledge. So I don't think I'd even take a gig now with flying a turboprop because I've been out of them for so many. I learned there. Yeah. But I've been out of them for so many years. I wouldn't be safe.
Did your dad have anything to do, you think, with how you developed an interest in aviation?
Oh, absolutely.
With his military?
Yeah, I grew up on military bases all over the country, and there was always jets overhead, and all my friends wanted to do that. We didn't ride our bikes, we flew them. We were all into it when I was a kid, and then I departed that for music, but circled back around later and took it up too. So it's always been with me.
I guess that's how you got to Myrtle Beach, isn't it?
Alabama is how I got to Myrtle Beach. I was living in Florence. I lived there for a number of years. Went to school there for a little while, and Didn't really know what I was going to do other than I really wanted to get in a band and get out of Florence. And through being there, I met them, and then a little while later, I don't know if you know the story or not, but took up with them in Myrtle Beach, and that was in 70. I met them in 78, and then we were playing by 79.
So Bennett was already gone by the time you got
Bennett
there.
was gone. They had a series of drummers that weren't dedicated to it. I don't care what it is you want to do. Dedication pays off.
Yeah.
And I was very dedicated, very, very committed, and at the time I wanted nothing more, wanted it, asked for it, prayed for it, just and it came to fruition. And I never thought it would through a band like Alabama, because I wanted to be a rock star.
Yeah.
I was a rock and roller, and I remember talking with my mother about it one night, and I said, "Man, I want to play rock and roll." And she goes, "Yeah, but these guys, what if they were to get somewhere and you had turned it down? Have you ever thought about that? Why don't you try it for a little while, see if it takes you somewhere else?" I'm glad I listened to Mama.
Yeah.
How would you feel if they made it and that could have been you?
Yeah.
And I better think about that.
Man, they had it built up. They had a following built up.
They did, but those are such fond memories of Myrtle Beach in those days. The Bowery. There's nothing like that now. I don't think there's. Everybody makes it now through YouTube.
Yeah.
Through social media. We really, the Bowery taught you to interact with people and create a shtick for your act like nowhere else. That there should be something like the Bowery for all new artists coming up, where they have to do penance there for a couple of years so they learn how to entertain.
Absolutely agree.
We didn't take breaks, nothing. On the busy time of the summer, we would start at, I think it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, play till 6, go home, take a shower, come back, start at 8, play till 1 o'clock in the morning.
It's rough.
No breaks. If you had to get up and use the bathroom, but somebody better be telling a joke or doing something, because they billed it as constant entertainment. And it was hot. It built character, I think, because there was no air conditioning in there. You know how hot it is at Myrtle Beach in July and August, and it's right there on the beach. All that salt air in there corroding everything. It's hot. People in many forms of sobriety or not are in there all the time, and you got to keep their attention.
Yep.
It's a rough place. You got to watch your mouth.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of fights in there. We had a lot of different kinds of entertainment, dancing girls and bands and people getting up on stage, and the beach is right there. A lot of people back then. Myrtle Beach was just, everybody let their hair down, and it was a lot of fun. It was hard work, no doubt. Playing for that long, you definitely get in shape. And then when we go out in the infancy of Alabama, the touring band was happening. We were playing. We finally broke out to play all over the country, but there was no glitz and glamour. It was mud and dust, playing county fairs. I bet we played every county fair in every county and all over the country. And that was hot and dirty and a grind. And, well, we were already experienced. That wasn't a shock. We were like, yeah, let's go. We know how to do this.
Me and my old band did a show and opened for Leah in Rainsville.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the Freedom Fest one year. I can't remember. I think it was just the snare. It may have been the whole kit, but my drummer is my uncle. And y'all were talking about his drums. I don't even remember what kind they were, nothing, but I think you played his drums, and that just made his. He was thrilled to death about that.
This has been. We've played that show twice, I think, and it must have been the first time.
It would have been around 2011 or 2012.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
Yep.
Going back to the Myrtle Beach, Jeff said one time about the dancing girls. He said, "Yeah, they started out go-go girls, and by the time we was there, they were went girls."
That sounds like Jeff. Yeah, we had 6 dancing girls, 5 pretty ones, and 1 ugly one.
Oh boy,
we had one. Her name was Bouncing Betty, and she weighed 300 pounds if she weighed 10. And I'm telling you, she was wilder than any of them.
She's the one that wanted him to sing "Room Full of Roses." I think, every time.
Yep.
Pull out $100 bills.
Yep. She was a sweet person. She's been gone many years now, but she had I liked her. She had a great attitude.
And it's like, yeah, that's so true. In the day and age of social media and all these singing shows where you just get up there and it's kind of turns into a popularity contest a lot of times, there's something to be said for getting out there and them doing it. Everybody needs that, I think.
And I think a lot more musicians would like to have it that way, but you can't. It's hard. You can't make any money now doing that. The Bowery is still there, and there's a band down there, but I think they're all guys that have day gigs, and that's what they do, and that's all they ever expect to do. It's not a training ground the way it used to be.
Yeah.
Because the Malibus played there before we were there, and then they went out and did quite a lot in their own right. And I think Russell and them worked there, or they wanted to, when they had Jackson Highway. That would have been good. If they didn't, it would have been good for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and Myrtle Beach, for that matter, that was a proving ground for a lot of bands there, because Mother's Finest used to play at Fletcher's, and then the Attic all the time. Nantucket, they were there all the time. People from my generation would know those band names. I don't know about now. People like who, but there was a lot of great bands come out of Myrtle Beach.
It's just it seems like from everything I've heard from everybody, it was kind of a music scene going on.
It was
in the 70s.
A big broad brush of a music scene, because beach music originated in North Myrtle Beach and Wilmington. And there was also a counterculture of great rock and roll bands. And then kind of the top 40 thing was very popular along the strip there. And there just at any given time there was a lot of great musicians down there, and everybody kind of knew one another, and we all hung out. And that is so good for you.
Yes.
As a player, that's how you grow.
Yeah. And it turns into a competition a lot of times. I don't like that shit. I never have.
No, and I don't remember it being a competition. I remember it being a great hang, and I'm kind of an open-minded guy anyway when it comes to stuff like that. And I remember really having many opportunities to go hear somebody really a lot better than yourself and pick up a few pointers.
Yeah.
And that was always available. Matter of fact, one of the local bands down there that never played anywhere other than a little place out on the Conway Highway, and it was called Socks. And it was the After Hours Club. And this band was a band full of all-star players. The drummer was freaking he played like Richie Hayward from Little Feat. And it'd be somewhere between Richie Hayward and John Bonham. This guy was badass. And I couldn't wait to get out there some nights and watch him play. He had all he could afford was he had like a little 16-inch kick drum, a snare, and one floor tom. And man, he could make that thing sound like anything you wanted. And those guys, I was fascinated with them. Had a great B3 player. I don't remember his name. But musicians from all over Myrtle Beach would get off work about the same time. And about midnight, that place would be packed. And we'd all be sitting around watching this band going, holy shit, you know. It was great. It was fun, man. You know, what do we ever want to leave for? I always had cash money in my pocket, and I'd go to the beach with the pretty girls and hang out. And, you know, then we went crazy.
And, you really learn how to work the crowds and stuff. I mean, Teddy said that they would do stuff like, we'll play you, pay $100, $200, throw it at us, and we'll play your favorite song backwards, whether we know it or not. And then they'd get the money and turn around, face the wall of the stage, and play the song. That's great shit.
Teddy, I think of Teddy in the Bowery. I think of my audition day. The story of how I got with him and everything, I put in my book, so I won't.
The High Road.
Yeah, the High Road, and it's an anecdotal story. It's kind of funny, but when I finally got to the point of where I did show up for an audition for Alabama, I drove all night to get there, slept in my car for about a couple of hours. The audition was set for 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was about 2 blocks down the road from the Bowery, and I woke up at about, 20 to 10 or something, hot, the sun streaming in the car, and I'm all sweaty, and I had on a pair of Holy jeans and a flannel shirt with no sleeves in it, and I show up, and the first thing Randy says, I like the way you dress. I thought, all right, I'm home. So we go into the Bowery, and they said, what have you been playing? I said, I've been with a couple other bands, top 40 stuff, standards. So we did Play That Funky Music, White Boy. We did something from ZZ Tush, I think, and a ballad. I forget what the ballad. Anyway, so we finished these songs, and I'm picking up on the vibe, like I'm hanging in there. They haven't run me off yet, so, and I'm really wanting this gig at this point because I'm thinking, hey, how could I'd play music at the beach?
Yeah,
I have my pick of women every night.
Yeah.
I'm 23 years old. I open my big mouth and say, that top 40 band I've been playing with in Florence, I've been doing a little singing because I noticed how good their vocals were right off the bat. I'm thinking, wow, maybe I could add something here, Oh, boy, that was not the right thing to say because they kind of nodded, and Teddy grabbed a microphone on a gooseneck and brought it back there to where the drums were and set it beside me. And he helped me, bent the gooseneck down, put it in front of my mouth, sort of like the way this microphone is. I don't remember the song that we decided I was going to try a harmony part on. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, start playing it and everything. I come in to try to find my part. I hadn't gotten but a couple of lines out, and Teddy walks back there, didn't say a word, just grabbed the microphone, carried it back to the front of the stage. I just kept playing. Okay, that answers that question. Nothing more was ever said about it. Oh man, those times were so we didn't realize how priceless those times were going to be to us.
Yeah, and then the music
someday.
Business took it over, didn't it?
It did. Something took over.
How long were you there?
2 years in the Bowery.
And was there, y'all obviously knew that it was coming close to getting something going?
Well, from day one, I knew something was different. I started April Fool's Day, 1979.
It's ironic.
Jeff always used to say, that's kind of a dubious honor. And I'd say, yeah, it is from both angles. But by the first night or two, I noticed the chemistry between the band and the people, and how they, up to that point, I'd played in mostly rock and roll bands and top 40 bands where there was no chemistry between the people in the club, and like the guitar players would all be on the front of the stage playing like this, and into themselves but not into performing, and that always bothered me. And singer, we had the last rock band I was in, the singer was great, had the look, had the moves and everything, but he turned around and faced us most of the time. I'm like, David, dude, what do you not? I don't want to see you play to them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Alabama had the people engaged by engaging the people right off the bat. So I thought, this is pretty cool, and it makes my job easier because I don't have to overexert myself trying to compensate, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, this is going to be all right. And they already had records. It was, to me, I was like, this is cool because this is what I've been looking for. Yeah, it's country. I don't know anything about country, but I can learn because this is organized. They've got records. They've got T-shirts. They're not afraid of work. We had a day program where we would go get in the cars and go out and visit radio stations within a couple hours driving distance, so we could be back in time for the show that night. I thought, this is pretty cool. This might go somewhere within the first month. That's 79. They released a single locally on the rock station in Myrtle Beach, WKZQ, that played a song, very sort of top 40-ish. Yes, it was a country band, but the harmonies sounded very, very top 40-ish at the time. A song called I Want to Come Over. And it got tremendous rotation on WKZQ, followed by regional radio stations picking it up. So, instant rock star, baby. Yeah, that's my band on the radio.
Cut my sleeves off right now.
Yeah. So that, and during the winter we would work clubs, and Randy especially was big into trying to get the product to labels. And
I never knew that.
We did, yeah. He was the main band concept guy of the three. And I think he had in those days, I think he had the longest vision. We charted that record. Regionally, it was a big record. It charted in the top 40. Regionally, I'm saying Carolinas. Mm-hmm. The Charlotte market, Columbia, Wilmington, Myrtle Beach. That filled the Bowery up every night. It got the attention of a minor label in Texas. They came, they saw, they signed. We started doing some things for them. That in turn brought, because of the minor label support, that in turn brought us to the attention of the majors in Nashville. I'm doing the macro here. There's a lot more to this than what I'm telling, but for the sake of time, we got invited to the New Faces show. They still have that, by the way, but that, if you can get on that, that's a lick. In March of 1980, and by that time we had released, I think it was My Home's in Alabama, and the DJs that we met along the way liked that song. It was 8 minutes long, and nobody had ever done that before, and the DJs were like, thank you, I can get up and take a whiz now, while this is playing. Not the 2.5 minutes thing. Mm-hmm. So that's why the DJs liked it. Yeah. And we got to Nashville to play the show, we were on the show with Lacey J. Dalton, Big Al Downing, Reba McEntire, George Strait.
Wow.
All unknowns at the time, and Alabama. I didn't get to play drums. They had, because it was Reba McEntire, George Strait, all individual artists who just get on stage and play with whoever at the time. That's how they set the show up. Nashville knew nothing about bands in those days.
Right.
And they were like, what do you mean you're a band? We already got a band. So not to make waves, I just sat on the sideline, and Jeff, Randy, and Teddy got up with their guitars, and the band already had the chart for the songs, and they played My Home's in Alabama. That's kind of a complicated arrangement to do it the way we were used to doing it live, because we rocked it up, you know, and sort of made it like what Can't You See is to Marshall Tucker, My Home's in Alabama was to Alabama. And I was thinking, oh, man, this is going to be a train wreck. But to their credit, the studio pickers pulled it off, and must have done something right, because the rest is history. We got signed by RCA, and they put the money and the moxie behind it, and away it went. Now, because I think, we couldn't have done it without RCA, but we couldn't have done it without us either, because we were a great live band. And and there's so many bands that nowadays, and even back then, that sound great on record, but they can't pull it off live. We were always the other way around, and I'm not tooting my own horn here. People used to tell me that by the hundreds. I wish y'all would record yourselves live, or I wish y'all sounded on a record like you do here, or that you guys are 10 times better live than you are on a record, sort of thing. And after a while, I started thinking, well, maybe we got something here. Maybe this is true. I'm feeling pretty good about this, and I think that's because that's probably. RCA could have put $1 billion behind Alabama, but if we couldn't have pulled it off live from what we learned in the Bowery, we wouldn't have had the success. We wouldn't have had the loyalty, I think, is a better word than success, because with Alabama fans, it's all about loyalty.
Yeah. Did you play on the I Want to Come Over, My Home's in Alabama?
No. Those were tracks left over from the Wild Country days.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't sure.
Before my time.
Yeah.
The guy, Rick Scott, was the drummer, and he was very well liked. That was a big pair of shoes to fill for me at the time, because he was very popular with the people in the Bowery, because he was a good singer.
Yeah.
He could sing very well, and they featured him on a lot of stuff. And when I got there, I'm this, punk-ass kid that plays rock and roll drums and doesn't sing. And there are a lot of people that didn't like me, but Randy, to his credit, got up on there was matter of fact, the guy that used to manage the Bowery was a real peckerhead, and he picked on me a lot. I weighed about 75 pounds soaking wet in those days. He used to shove me around a lot, and people were complaining the drums were too loud and the drums were too big or something like that. Randy got on stage one time. He goes, look, this is Mark. He's our drummer. He's here to stay. If you don't like it, you can leave.
Good.
And at that time, I thought, I'm here for life.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, as in the case with every band, in the young days, in the young years, when you start out, it's the musketeer mentality.
Yeah.
One for all and all for one. Sadly, in 99% of all the cases, the business changes people, and it takes that away, and that's so sad, because you're such a tight unit when you first start out. And it's just you guys against the world, and everybody bonds. It's like soldiers, and the business and money changes people, and the business changes. It erodes that away. I know of very few bands that are the same musketeers in the same boat that they were when they started out.
Happens a lot.
It does, man.
And who do you think was like the first, maybe artist that you looked up to, or anybody else in the band looked up to, that kind of took Alabama under their wing and was like, yeah, y'all come on out with me, like didn't care that Roy Acuff maybe wouldn't invite them to the Grand Ole Opry because they had long hair and stuff like jump around on stage, a bar band. But
I know there was discrimination against bands per se at the Grand Ole Opry, but when we finally got invited to play it, those were the most welcoming people. They were so happy to have us. And it was only about 2 or 3 years into our career when we got invited to play. And it was I think it was when Mountain Music was such a big song. and nobody was mean to me, or no, there was no weird vibe or anything. They were just excited as we were to get on there because it was a first.
Yeah.
The first time a band with a drum set had ever been able to break the tradition. And it's funny, we finished it up. I think we played 2 or 3 songs, and it was over. And it was at Opryland. It wasn't at the Ryman. It was at Opryland. And there's a side door that they use for artists to you can haul your gear out. We were going out that side door, and they allow sometimes handicapped or elderly people are allowed to use that exit too, because they have parking right outside the door.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Randy and Teddy and some of the grip and crew guys were going out that door. There's kind of a crowd going out the door, but me and Teddy were walking side by each there, and I pushed the door open, and there was a elderly couple behind us. And they didn't know it was us, and they were talking to them amongst themselves. And the man goes, he goes, "Them Alabama boys, they sure was pretty good tonight, weren't they?" And the little old lady goes, "Yeah, they was, and that little old girl just beat the fire out them drums." I had long blonde hair, we about fell on the ground. Just beat the fire out them drums. But yeah, it was a good thing, and a feather in our cap, and made some friends there that made it easier to accept the accolades that came later.
Yeah.
For the big award show that all took place at the Opry, because even then, there used to be, we'd win these awards, vocal group, single of the year, album of the year, entertainer of the year, back to back, and the people up in the gallery were just going wild, and it was fun. But I always was a little aware of the old guard that was sitting out there in the house. And I always wondered how they felt. Like, are they looking at us like a bunch of young punks that haven't paid their dues and getting all this attention and everything? Maybe some of them were, but the ones that were at the Opry that night never were, because they found out that we were pretty earnest. One of which comes to mind was Tammy Wynette. Now I've called her this many times before, but that's the classiest woman I have ever met in show business. God rest her soul. She and my mother became friends during the heyday. My mother always liked to dabble in show business a little bit too, and she helped out on some festivals and things like that. And I brought her to a few shows, when we were winning, and the two of them hit it off. They just da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And she sent me it when Mom passed away. I got a telegram from her, so sorry to hear, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, people like that. And now, I don't know what kind of people we got up there. But I don't keep up with it anymore, so I can't say. But, yeah, thank God for the times we did get to play the Opry. I think 2 times. And then we did Hee Haw 2 times. You get to know the old guard that way, and they're not quite so, all right, you don't know anything yet, you little punk. Maybe some of them were like that, but I never picked up any bad vibes from any. And that is a class of people it's gone now.
Yeah, it is.
They were wonderful. Even Roy Acuff, he'd be in that dressing room there right before you walk out on stage right, and he'd always in there picking with anybody that would come in there, and they're sitting around jamming, He'd say, come on, let's play you, Rick, I want to play you this. It was fun.
Yeah, y'all look like y'all was having a damn ball on Hee Haw. I grew up watching
my favorite TV show ever to do, and it was just there was so much when we're behind the scenes stuff is practical jokes and fun and everybody knew everybody, and it was so easy to do and so easy to go out and do the show because everybody's laughing all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, Junior Samples, he didn't know he's in the world. He was just like he was on the show. He just happy to be there.
Man, Roy Clark is absolutely...
He's a nut.
He is one of the most phenomenal, talented guitarists in the world ever that there ever was or ever will be.
Could play anything. But you'd never know it.
He didn't just play it. He knew how to accent it and how to... It's like it had its own voice or something.
Yeah.
Like a cartoon character or like just the classiest, however he wanted it to sound.
I love those underrated people. He never got the accolades that he deserved, I don't think. And neither did Glenn Campbell.
No, he didn't.
Glenn Campbell's phenomenal player. Phenomenal guitar. Virtuoso.
Yeah.
And he never really...
Yeah. Did you watch that documentary, Glenn Campbell? That was amazing to me.
Yeah.
That he could remember, all those licks that he played on Wichita Lineman and all that stuff, but he couldn't remember his wife's name or his kid's name half the days. That was amazing.
Yep. Yeah, even well into the dementia, he could... People like that, they're born to play.
I know that Charlie Daniels and guys like Merle Haggard and Hank, y'all did a lot of stuff with Hank. There's a black and white picture of the 4 of y'all with the same T-shirts on, and Hank standing there in the middle of y'all.
Hank, we got to know Hank through, see if I got the timeline right. Hank, in 1983, I think it was, invited us to do a televised special. The only other artist I remember being on it was Waylon. We did it on the deck of the USS Constellation.
Star Spangled Country Party. Yeah.
There you go. In San Diego Harbor. I'll never forget that because the catering, I ate some undercooked chicken. It's the sickest I've ever been in my life afterwards. But, it's a good show, a lot of fun. I love being on an aircraft carrier, doing a show. I thought this is cool. And but Hank was in Alaska, Fairbanks, Alaska. I don't know if he was playing up there or hunting, but we had the label wanted us to do a special Alabama and Friends.
I've got it on video.
Lee Greenwood was there. A couple other. Well, Hank dropped what he was doing and flew all the way back from Fairbanks to do that special. And I thought, now that's pretty cool. Because we'd done his special. That's the way it used to be. Yeah. The volunteer jam was the same way with Charlie Daniels. We all each supported everybody's charity, and you just that's changed too. But Charlie Daniels is another iconic person to me. Have I got time to tell a funny story on him?
As time as you want. Yeah.
I put this in the book, but it's so funny. When I was going to school in Florence, I lived, eat, breathe, and sleep drums and music. That's all I did. I played 7-8 hours a day every day. Dreaming hard. I'd go to concerts and I'd stand out back till the last piece of gear was loaded on the trucks, just watching everybody and wondering what it looks like on the bus. And I'd sit in my seat and I'd just drool at the lights coming down and watch the performers and watch the drummer, how they moved and everything. Anyway, so I'm a second year basically flunking college student because I spent more time with drums than I did whatever it was I was in class for. And Charlie Daniels was very popular at the time during the Southern Rock explosion.
Yeah.
And I went to Francis Marion U at Florence, and he was coming to the school to play Friday night. And it was all during the week, everybody's getting excited, playing music, having parties in their dorms and their apartments. And it was, I think Charlie was riding the crest of the Fire on the Mountain album.
Oh, yeah. Great.
And great. That's his best album, I think.
By far.
Oh, that's just... Caballo Diablo, they say. Loved it. He's coming to the school to play, and we're all just, we can't wait. Day of show. My buddies across the way where I lived in a little ratty apartment complex, and my buddy, there were 3 guys that lived in this place over here. Me and I had a roommate, and everybody's talking about going to the show, but old Mark didn't have the money for the ticket. And Tom, these guys over here across the way, they were a bunch of heads. They stayed high all the time. And they were just laughing at me because I didn't have any money, and they were rubbing it in a little bit. Yeah, we got like second row seats, blah, blah, look at what they, yeah. You know, I'm getting a cramp in my middle finger, and okay, guys, just go ahead, just be a jerk. Yeah, man, we'll be thinking about you. And so at the last minute before the show, Tom hands me a joint, and a little rolled up pin joint, and he goes, I feel bad about ragging on you, man. Just go turn your stereo up, and here, take this, and maybe it'll be just as good. So I'm going, okay, well, I didn't smoke dope, and I think up to that point, when I was 14 or 15, I might have taken a hit off at one time. I was so scared I was going to get caught, I never felt anything. I ran home, and so he gives me this little pin joint, and they all leave and go to the show. I'm feeling sorry for myself. I don't stay in the apartment. I had a Pinto. I had a little Ford Pinto. It was in rough shape. You could see the road going by underneath you. The floor was rotted out, like Fred Flintstone. And so me and my Pinto, we got in the car, and there was a little place we used to go hang late at night and drink beer and stay up all night and howl at the stars, a little pond, a little dirt road back. So I went there, parked by the pond. I had that joint in my pocket, and I'm thinking, why not? Give it a try. So I take it out, and I must have premeditated that because I had a lighter in my pocket, and I didn't smoke cigarettes. So I'm going to pay somebody back for something, Yeah. So I take a few hits off of it, and I'm leaning back against the car, and I'm looking at the moon, and the moon's starting to move around a little bit, and my ears are starting to buzz, and things are weird, and I'm starting to hear things that I'm not sure whether they're there or not, and I'm Oh God, I think I might ought to get back to the apartment. So I get in the car and I drive back, and I think I'm going about 70 miles an hour going back to the house because I'm getting a little nervous. And I look down at the speedometer; it's about 15. So I know I'm getting tore up. And so I pull in the parking lot, and I don't know what to do because this is a weird feeling, and I kind of like it, but then again, I got to face reality at some point. And I turn on the radio, and guess what's playing on the radio? Charlie Daniels. So I'm thinking, oh, this is cool. This is meant to be. So I listened to the song, and it was WJAX or JMX in Florence, the AM station. We didn't have that many FM stations back then. And they were playing a tune off of Fire on the Mountain, and I'm listening to. Oh boy! now the sound now I hear what other people are hearing. It's big, it's wide, it's as wide as this room, and I can dive right in the middle of it and watch all the players playing, and they're playing it just for me. Wow! Listen to that lick; it goes so perfect with what he's saying. It's all coming together. How do they do that? I'm going to the show, by God. Get out of the car, and the apartment complex is right across Highway 76 from the college, which is where the student center was. About a 3,000 seat room, is which where Charlie was playing. So I get out of the car, and all my trepidation forgotten. I head out on foot. And I come up to the highway, and I hide in the ditch a little bit, wait till the cars go by, because they know. They know I'm high. So one of them might call the cops. So I wait till a little break in the traffic. I run across the highway, and there's like a little forest between that and the student center. And I run from tree to tree because somebody's following me. He's back there. I know he's back there. Running from tree to tree, look, good so far. Run a little ways, stop, look, good so far. Whew. Man, this is a lot of work. Why do people do this? Oh, anyway, I'm going to the show. I got to go to the show. So by this time, I come to a parking lot, and I'm getting bold. They don't really know. I'm cool. I got this. Head out across the parking lot. By the time I get to Student Center, the paranoia is starting to wear off, and I'm starting to come back around a little bit. And the front doors are locked. The concert has already started. The opening act's Grinder Switch. And I walk around to the back, and they just finished up their last song. I hear people cheering and the big finish, and they finish their song. They go off stage, and the back door flies open, and both their tour staff and student volunteers started moving equipment out the door. And some people were taking a few items in, and some people were taking stuff out. So I walked down there, and I grabbed a microphone stand or a music stand or something. I just walked in there like I was one of them. Just walk in there, and it dumped me out right in Monitor World. Right here was the Monitor World, the back of the stage, bunch of dimmer packs and everything, and then the barricade, and then the crowd. And I'm back there like, okay, I got to look important, so I'm just kind of moving stuff around, and I look up, and I see Tom and them right there, and they see me backstage, and I go, they're like, ah! So I got in for free.
Yeah.
All right, you'd think that'd be the end of the story. So we laughed for a couple of days about that, me and Tom and all them. And, well, did you enjoy the joint? Well, not really, but it got me here. So, flash forward about, that would have been 76, 77 maybe. Flash forward 10 years. Alabama and Charlie Daniels and Joel Sonnier are the three acts in a big pre-promoted national tour. Everything was done up front, the promo, the pictures, the T-shirts, everything. It was going to be a big tour, and it was. a very sought-after ticket at the time. Opening night was in Pittsburgh at the Coliseum downtown. Cool venue. The whole roof opens up during nice weather, and you can. It's like it's a stadium, you know.
Yeah.
Sold out crowd. The buzz is in the air. People are, throwing the beach ball around, frisbees, and everybody's having a good time. And before the show ever starts, and I'm in my little dressing room warming up on my practice pad, and I get up and I go down and I knock on Charlie's door, and it was a co-headliner tour, but that night we were the last act playing. And I walked in and I just introduced myself. I said, words can't describe how proud I am to be part of this with y'all and everything. And I just want to meet you. And Charlie, I'm been a fan all my life. I don't know what to say. And he's real nice. And he come on in, have a beer with us. And I did. And we sit around shooting the breeze a little bit. And I told him that story about the first time getting to see Charlie Daniels. And they all laughed. I got a courtesy laugh, and then it's time for them to go to the stage. So I take my leave and I have a good show, break a leg, cool, all that kind of stuff. The tour went on for the next couple of weeks. Everybody's starting to get into the rhythm of the thing, find their way, the way you do on things like that, and people are, getting to know one another. And about 2 weeks into it, I forget what city we were in, but I'm in my dressing room again, working out on the pads. I always like to warm up before I play, and I'm playing. A knock comes on the door, and this big dude, Charlie's chief of security, standing at the front door, standing at the dressing room door. I said, "Oh, hey, Rick." His name was Rick Rentz. He goes, "Yeah, Charlie needs to see you." And his demeanor was not real friendly. I thought, uh-oh, what have I done? He goes, "Follow me." So we go down the hall, Charlie Daniels' dressing room. And I walk in. Rick walks in behind me. And another guy comes. This guy was like a mountain of a man. Big biker-looking dude. And he steps from the side and stands in front of the door and leans back with his arms crossed, kind of giving me the hairy eyeball. And I look at Rick. He's giving me the hairy eyeball, and he nods his head toward the table like, "Go over there." And Charlie's over there with that big hat of his pulled down like this. He's sitting at the table. He's not saying a word. He's got his shades on, the big old cowboy hat pulled down. There's another, the tour manager is sitting at the table next to Charlie, and then there's a guy with a bunch of paperwork sitting right here. I'd never seen him before. And he's got an adding machine, and he's over there working. He's writing stuff down like he's really busy. And the tour manager says, "Have a seat, Mr. Herndon." Well, I mean, I feel like I'm in the principal's office. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of like, okay. He said, I have to inform you that it's come to the attention of Sound 70 Promotions, that's Charlie's touring company, of a little discrepancy that's come up. And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "The story that you told us the other night, our accountant here took note of that and went back and checked some records. And the ticket prices of that day at Francis Marion University were then published as $15. That may not sound like a lot of money to you, but it is to Charlie Daniels Touring Organization, because with amortization, that $15 is now $1,500, over $1,500 in a loss to our organization. And he pushes the sheet across to me. It's a bill. He says, "Now this can be made payable in either check, money order, or cash. We're not prejudiced." And I'm like, and then Charlie's not, he's like, and I don't know these people that well. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is the big time.
Yeah.
And the Rick and the biker, they take a couple of steps forward and they're standing right behind me. Like, if you try to bolt, I got a hand on you, boy.
Yeah.
And the accountant dude is looking at me like, but what are you gonna do? I'm like, I don't have a checking account. I can get the money. I could probably borrow the money from merch. I'll have to pay them. But Charlie, he busts out laughing. He goes, son, you were the only one that come down here the other night to introduce yourself to us, and when you told that story, we couldn't resist. Welcome to the tour. And he stood up and gave me a big old, and then the band comes out from behind the pipe and drape stuff, and they're all laughing and hand me a beer like, we got your ass. It was instant family from that day forward. I was like, I thought I had screwed the pooch, but they remembered that, and it was a wind-up.
That was a great story. Well, we could talk forever about all the stories and the stuff like that. And I do these country music history type videos I've been doing lately. And I've done a few on Alabama. And, one thing I've noticed is a lot of people really still don't really understand what happened with the whole thing. And, it's like, I know it's out there, but you've told it, there's been press releases and things like that, but they ultimately are confused. People ask me all the time about it. Mm-hmm. And so, anything that you can talk about what happened to actually stick the fork in the way it is now. I just want people to have clarity on it. I think it's important.
Well,
y'all think you know good barbecue? I bet you ain't had this. Cave City BBQ is part of the heartbeat of small town Alabama, showing up at festivals, concerts, and community events with hickory smoke rolling. And we thank Cave City BBQ for sponsoring today's podcast.
I love doing stuff like this. It's fun because it's a walk down memory lane for me. And I've done a few other programs like this with other places, and it always, it invariably comes around to that as a question, which is perfectly fine. I don't mind talking about what I know about it. As you can tell, what keeps me alive is remembering the good things. If I allow that angst in, it hurts my heart, and that's not, at my age, that is not physically or mentally good for anybody.
Sure.
So I don't dwell on that. I've forgiven everybody in the spiritual sense of the word. I haven't forgotten, and I hope I'm a little wiser because of it. But there's so many wonderful, vivid memories of that career that it's my stage in life now to where I get a lot of enjoyment going back to those places in my mind. I thank God for giving me a good memory to where I can remember details about times and places, probably like Glenn Campbell, the way he could remember. We were talking about him earlier.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate in that effect. And I'll be honest with you. As far as to what happened, my honest answer is I don't know. I really don't know what I did other than having some words. We all had words at times. There was a lot of mystery as far as where all the proceeds went to the farewell tour, and there was a lot of arguments and infighting, but as far as causing the band as it was then to be fragmented, I don't know what I did to be fired. Yeah, I might have. We all said things, and that probably, but to break the integrity of the band, I don't know. I don't really think it came from any of the band members, to be honest with you. I think there was some powerful voices in the right ears that thought they could serve those voices better than serve the band. And I think the people that had the voices in their ears succumbed to what was being said, and I don't want to. I think it was the easiest course of action was to get rid of me because I wasn't a partner. Why? I don't know. Yeah, you could talk to the two remaining members and probably get two different stories. All I remember is that when it came time to end the farewell tour, it sure seemed like there was a whole lot less money left over than there was. And to this day, I don't know where it went. I don't think anybody does. It was a big disappointment for everybody, and shit rolls downhill. Yeah. Unfortunately, I was at the bottom. It's very sad. It was premature. I think everything could have gotten so much better, and everybody would have individually done so much better with this if we had all taken a step back and say, all right, let's stop this right now, come back in 3 or 5 years, and let's start over, and let's take a break, see how it is. And I think it would have been marvelous, and everybody would have been refreshed and rejuvenated, and all the remora fish would have fallen by the wayside, because there were so many of those. The little fish that attach themselves to the shark and get a free ride on the shark and eat all the scraps. Those are the ones that I can't stand. They latch on to a band, and they ruin it after a while. Yeah. And we could have gotten rid of all those people and started new, and the music would have been pure again. The purest album we ever did was Feel So Right. I think that has got some songs on it that was the direction we should have gone. But then the remora fish come in and started changing everything. You start swimming for them. Yeah. Because you got to feed them. So, but yeah, it's sad. It happened. It is what it is. I've let it all go. I'm healthy because I don't carry anything around. I don't carry any water for anybody anymore. I know what the next question is. Do you think that you'll ever do it again? Or a lot of people ask me that. The answer is the same, but it's not I don't know. It's like I don't know what to do. I don't know what's right, because in a way it got so toxic toward the end. I feel like the good Lord got me away from that for a reason. I'm not sure what that reason is, but I know that I wouldn't be here if it had continued. I struggled with a lot of alcoholism, a lot of addiction, going through that. And I've been sober 21 years now, and I can say, "Hooah."
That's a huge blessing in it.
Absolutely, itself, I'm very proud of that, and I'm I'm more thankful for that. It's not necessarily something to be proud of per se, but I'm proud that I could follow the right voice there. But Teddy, we were talking about Teddy a little while ago, and you know, he came to the house and laid it out for me to. He said, "I'd love for you to come by and play a couple of songs on a show or two." And Leah and I were just talking about that last night, and I don't know if I could explain to your listeners what that feels like. It's like going back to an ex-wife. It's just, it's a mixed bag, and I don't know which bag to pick up. I know Teddy wants it with all his heart, and he wants it for the right reason. I don't know if I haven't seen or talked to Randy Owen since 2004. I haven't even seen him. I don't know where he stands on something like that, and I don't know how I would feel if he approached me. Like I said, ex-wife.
You know, here's my take on it. I think all of it was a huge misunderstanding. I think it was just, you know, the business people, the leeches got in there, and that's where the missing money came in. Probably they put it on you, and all of a sudden, certain people are like, "Oh, well, he's gone. He's erased. He can, you know, we can't have anything to do with him." Well, the thing is like they built an empire. You know, you talked about the partnership. Well, you know, I grew up in Geraldine, Alabama, just down the road here. But I don't think it matters if you grew up there or, you know, Charlotte, North Carolina, or wherever. Growing up, going in Walmart, seeing, you know, Southern Star on the shelf, and, you know, the piano player is not on the album cover, but you are. You know, going up there and getting awards, you're up there with them giving acceptance speeches. You know, you're in the music videos, you're in the publicity pictures, you're on the T-shirts, and it's like, you know, we didn't really know the business aspect of it. So I think that's where that confusion for people comes in. But to me, Alabama, and I say it with all love for Alabama, it's you and Randy and Teddy and Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people feel that way. And it's just such a damn shame that it happened the way it did, and that it can't come full circle. You know,
it is a shame. It's a shame for the band. It's a shame for the fans.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily a shame for me. Listen, I wasn't no model boy. I probably would have fired me, knowing what I know now. After managing I've managed our band. We're slow right now because we're recording, but when me and Leah had our band going pretty strong, the frustrations that come with employees. Had I had a me in this band now, I would have fired me.
Yeah.
Because I was very immature. I'm a grown ass man now, but it took me 50 years to get there. I was living in a fantasy world a lot of years with Alabama, so I don't want anybody to think that, well, I was a good boy, I wasn't doing nothing wrong, they fired me. No, it's nobody had a halo over their head.
Yeah.
And we all had demons and faults and everything else, but
yeah.
At this point in life, that should draw you together, not push you apart.
It really should.
It just was a.
You know, I'm just a little guy here. You know, I'm lucky enough for people to be interested in my content that I put out, and a lot of people feel the same way that I do. I know they do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can show you the comments on Facebook alone. They are just, you go through there and you can't even, and then people will start getting in arguments in the comments, of course, you know. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I've seen a few of them. I stay out of that dogfight.
Yeah.
But I'm I'm honored that people feel that way. I'll give Charlie Daniels another credit for some of that, because people, I'd say a large percentage of those people like me because of something I learned from him one night. We were in Lakeland, Florida, and this was before the big tour. Charlie was the headliner. We were the opening act. This is early on. And we were done with our show, and Charlie was done with his show. And I had been in the dressing room, probably just hanging out, and I walked outside the back door, and there were a group of diehard fans wanting a picture. And I don't remember me being a punk ass at the time. I kind of brushed them off, and I wasn't tired, wasn't in a good mood or something. And I remember looking back at him and then kind of going my way, and I look up and I see Charlie Daniels sitting in the shotgun seat in his bus, looking out the window. And he's in this position again that I would see in the future when they did the wind-up. He's got his arms, and he's watching me. And he just kind of watching me walk across the bus area there, and I go to my bus, and I didn't think anything more about it. And the next day or two, I saw him, and he pulled me aside. He said, "Son, I didn't like what I saw the other night. Ain't none of my business, but I think you need to know this." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Don't ever be ugly to anybody. No matter how bad you feel out here, don't ever be ugly to anybody, because it'll pay off later in life like you can't believe." And he says, "It's part of your job."
Man.
And, I took that to heart, and I remember it because there were many times when I didn't feel like interrupting my supper or stopping and hearing somebody's life story or what. It's part of your job.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I'm human, but for the most part, I discipline myself to that. And I think people remember that.
I think Charlie was really a special human being. Really.
Absolutely.
I've never seen anybody run a business the way that he ran his business for all his employees and the things that he would do for them.
Mm-hmm.
My God, those guys in the CDB have been with him since the 70s. Or some of them, some of the crew members have been with him longer than that.
Did you watch his memorial? They televised?
Mm-mm. I didn't see it.
The crew guys that got up there they couldn't finish their eulogy. They go, and tears were rolling down my cheeks the day I found out he passed. I was at work. I was sitting in the cockpit getting the clearance to go to the next destination, and a text come across my phone. Charlie Daniels just passed away. I had to sit everything down and just sit there and let it rip for a minute. I could not believe it. And man. Yeah.
I did a show, or I was on the festival lineup with him one time. Charlie Hayward, the bass player from Holt, Alabama, down around Tuscaloosa, he introduced me to him. And we talked a few minutes. He gave me his phone number. Said if I ever need advice or anything, just to give him a call. And he said, "Son, about the only thing I can tell you important right now to tell you is somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time." And I'm like, damn, that's always stuck
rich.
with me. I never called him, but that's...
I
think he was just a special guy. I never really...
Anointed.
Yeah, I think he was. I know he was really close with Danny Shirley, too, and he really helped show him how to run his business, Confederate Railroad group.
One of my favorite tracks on Alabama Records is the song he did with us. And they're right. I'm having a senior moment.
Oh, Oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember it either.
Borderline.
Yeah.
Borderline. He made that track.
When's the last time you got to talk to Jeff?
Jeff?
Or see him?
That's pretty close to the same as Randy. Teddy's really the only one that, and it's been Teddy to make the effort. At the time and during this time, I've felt like it's in my best interest if I just let it go down the river.
Yeah.
Teddy wants, in his heart of hearts, to even when Jeff was still able, wanted everything to come back. But here that gets into the I don't know area. I don't know my own feelings. I don't know my own mind or heart there, because it was such a big part of my life. I don't know how to feel or how I would feel doing that. But Teddy is adamant about it. But I think he's running into a roadblock there too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to say. I never say on record or off record, like, yeah, I go do that. Sure, I do it. No, I've never said that. I just kind of say, I don't know. It's almost too late.
Well, maybe not. I don't really know Randy that well, but anytime I have ever met him, he has been nothing but nice and kind to me. He actually introduced me to Frank Myers, songwriter. And Frank Myers and Jim McBride both was my very first professional co-write in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically when I learned that I was not a songwriter. And I thought I was.
I learned the same lesson. Yeah.
You learn quick.
Yeah, you do.
Like, here's what I had, well, that's a good idea. Let's start here. And then just completely start over. But,
I had to force it. I mean, anything you have to force is not you.
No.
And I had to force it, and it just, I didn't pursue it.
Now, y'all four have a writing credit on Christmas in Dixie.
Yeah. Because we all sat down and write it together.
And that's what I always wanted, because I've never heard that story told.
We wrote it in July. It's hot. It was hot, 100 degrees outside, and we had to. He had the house there at the very top of the mountain by Cook Sound.
Mm-hmm.
And we all pull in there, and his wife at the time had put a Christmas wreath up and the tree, and it's like coming in sweaty. It's like, whoa, this doesn't compute. It was, but oddly enough, that iconic song came out of it, and we each had a contribution on it.
Yeah, iconic song is right.
That's been some pretty good mailbox money over the years. I wish I hadn't blown it when it was good mailbox money. Nowadays it'll pay a couple of light bills in advance, but it used to roll in pretty good.
Man, I'm very happy for you and where you're at in your life now, as a admirer of you and as a fan too. Of course, I would love it. Like I said, I'm just a little guy, but I don't know who sees this. But I mean, my God, even if it's just anything where everybody could realize, okay, let's see where we are now, and let's try to look at this outside the box of what might have happened in the first place, and let bygones be bygones. It would be the best thing ever. I mean, you're standing up there in Fort Payne at the park. You're standing right up there with them. You're in the Hall of Fame, and it would just be great to have that. But I mean, I know it ain't up to us, but I mean, it would be wonderful.
Well, when they first started floating that idea of statues, I'm sorry to make everything funny today, but there are so many funny things happening. the city council was big on it and everything. I talked to one of the members at my house one day, and I said, "Man, wouldn't it be cool if we had a rather than statues, like if we put the same money towards landscaping Wills Creek all the way through town out toward the interstate, put a walking park by it and landscape it real pretty and make it the Alabama Trail or something, and have a plaque, and it'd do everybody some good, a little exercise." And that was when they were also floating the idea of having a road named after everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy Gentry Drive, Randy Owen Lane, on Jeff Cook Street. And we got talking about that. He said, "Where do you want your road?" And I said, "I don't want one." He said, "What?" I said, "I ain't interested." And he goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "I've been run over enough." He said, he busted out laughing. He goes, "I'm going to leave that one right there." And I never got a road. That's the way I liked it.
Yeah, you've been down enough roads, I guess.
But no, I don't. That's kind of that whole, that's a big if, and it's just, to me now, it's like, I so don't know. I don't want to say anything that might not sound right later.
Yeah, I get it. I get so damn tired of people picking sides. I've never been like that,
Nobody knows.
They don't know. And that's what I really wanted to get across is, you don't have to pick sides. It's okay, You don't have to just.
I don't. No, there are sides, I guess, but it's a bigger issue than that.
And
it's kind of really how God looks at it, because we were put there for a reason, and it was for a certain group of people to have something in their life for.
Yeah.
I believe that, and that's why we were an instrument to bring joy to a certain group of people, and that's divine intervention. That's not man-made.
Right.
And anybody that messed with that has got a day of reckoning coming.
Yeah, I do.
I really believe that, and that, I don't think that I'm anything special or anybody else is anything special, but the unit that was created by a much higher power.
Yeah.
Because it had a purpose. It made people happy. They raised their kids to that. Whether I liked being in Alabama at the time or not, it was bigger than that. It was bigger than Alabama. It was about people and joy and making them forget their misery.
Yeah.
That is so important. That should be treated with reverence.
It should. And I mean, was there a conversation way back with RCA that said we want to include you in the music videos? You give the rock edge, or because that's kind of what I always thought.
I don't know for a fact what was said. It just
was what it was.
It's just part of my job. I just thought, hey, I'm in a band. This is part of being in a band.
Yeah.
I didn't know about contracts that I knew about or didn't know about, or percentages or anything. I kind of a dumbass, about stuff like that. I just wanted to play. I wanted to be in a band and play, and I loved it. I loved everything about it.
You go back and watch some of those old videos, from when y'all were. What was the one at the baseball stadium? Was it Anaheim Stadium with Merle Haggard? And y'all were doing Tulsa Time and all this stuff. Y'all were having a damn ball. I mean, everybody up there was just like having so much fun.
Yeah.
Just playing music, not having to worry about all this other. Just show up, play music for people.
60,000 people that day, and the Anaheim Stadium, the security stopped the show and made an announcement, y'all are going to have to calm down, because the entire upper tier of the stadium was starting to do this from harmonic vibration of people stomping their feet.
God almighty.
The concrete was in the wave. It was doing like, and they were starting to worry about the structural integrity of the upper tier. God. And it was crazy.
That is unreal.
I had to play Willie's drummer's kit.
Oh, wow.
And his tech told me, he said, you can play these. I use my own snare, but he said, you can play these, but I might want to remind you, he's got a pistol under that bag right there on that road case right next to where you're sitting. Don't move any of his stuff. I was like, derp.
Oh, man. Well, couldn't be happier for where you're at, man. And
I could tell you.
Oh, I'm sure.
I hope more than tell stories, I could paint pictures for people that I would like. I tried to do that in my book. I think I got close, but I don't know if I could ever transpose the vividness that's still in my mind of just day-to-day stuff. Just a friend of mine who was on the crew, has got a giant box full of snapshots. You know, we didn't have phones back then, but some people took a lot of pictures. And he calls me every time. He said, "Man, we need to come over and cook some spaghetti one night and go through these pictures." And I was like, "Where was this when I was writing my book?" Because I'm not good with records and stuff. I'd lost a lot of stuff, but he's got. I'd do something like what we're doing here today. I should have that box with me and just go through, pull out a handful of pictures. Oh, yeah, I'd forgotten about that one. Let me tell you about this cat. Be
awesome. Let's do that part two.
Yeah, wouldn't that be neat?
Yeah.
God, there's probably some things in there that we don't want to talk about.
Yeah. Or we might want to, but we can't.
We had so many. Another thing, too, that makes me believe in what I said about the purpose of Alabama was, in my opinion, from God, as far as creating joy for people.
Yeah.
We're so lucky so many times in so many different dangerous situations that, you know, we were in many times we came close to being skinnered in the air. Buddy Holly, Patsy Cline, on the road. You know, we had a few bus wrecks, and they that close. I mean, that close. I can think of 3 different times that we should not have survived it, but hey, there was we had a job to do.
The engines go down, or what? I mean, weather.
In the air.
Yeah.
One was weather and low fuel. The next one was low fuel.
God.
The next one was weather. Many times weather. Many times. And I don't know if I even should say this in the wrong way, but many times I watched the weather part at the last minute, and it used to freak me out. I mean, like it's just. I understand it now. You know, I didn't have a whole lot of knowledge of the power of prayer and the favor of God in those days, but it did get my attention. The bus, a couple of times, And countless times that we probably never even knew.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous occupation. People don't realize how dangerous it is to be on the road over 300 days a year. It's not only dangerous for the artist, it's dangerous for all your people.
Yeah.
They're risking their lives too, and the crew more so, because that's hard work, it's dangerous work, heavy equipment. We did have one fatality. It was a contract stagehand, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. We didn't get to do the show that night because a line of thunderstorms came up. It was an outdoor show, fairgrounds. Line of thunderstorms came. When they have thunderstorms up north, they have big ones because that wide open space.
Yeah.
And these were tremendous storms, and the straight line winds exceeding 100 miles an hour, driving the rain and the hail horizontally across the fairground. People running for their cars, running for shelter. Came up just like that. And it was an outdoor, this was probably in the mid-90s, outdoor show, like I said. The stage was what you see on an outdoor festival, big sound columns on either side, big truss, covered stage. Well, it blew down, and everything came crashing down. The light truss was all laying down behind the stage, sparking like the Terminator, And when it was all over, I was on the bus. I got on the bus and I was watching the storm blow through, and tents and chairs and tables were airborne, and that's what kind of wind it was. And when it was over, it was over. It died down the way storms like that do very quickly, and I immediately left the bus and went toward the stage. And I could see the jumble of trusses and speakers and cabinets, everything behind the stage where it had all blown and fallen down in the back. And there was an ambulance there. And I was like, oh, God. And the first guy I saw was our production manager, and he shook his head, and I said, what's up? And he says, it's not good, man. And what had happened was they had started the loadout, and they were pushing stuff in. There was about 4 trucks backed up to the stage left with the ramps out, and they were pushing stuff across the ramps into the trucks where it had rained so hard. The rain got everywhere, made everything real slick. And they were down to the point where they were pushing set carts, which are these big, they're on wheels. They're about as wide, maybe 2 of those chairs right there wide. And they stand about 8 foot tall, and that's where you put all the decking and the structure that holds the decking up. You lay it in those set carts, and you stack it in there, and each cart weighs about 2,000 pounds. And they were pushing the set cart in, and one of the stage hands was a female, and she was help steadying it, and somebody lost their balance, which made the set cart lurch to the side, and all the decking fell like this against the set cart. It lost its center of gravity, and it started coming over on her, and a kid, 18-year-old kid standing behind her, pushed her out of the way, and it landed on him and crushed him.
Oh, man.
In the truck. And he's dead before they ever got him out from under the decking. And it was... That was probably the worst time, because what followed that was a very dark period. A lot of things went wrong. Personnel changes, wrong people. The ship lost its rudder for a while, and it just got really weird. It took us about, I'd say, a good 3 years, maybe even 4, to recover from that, as far as everybody in the same boat.
Yeah.
That was the closest thing to a coup that the enemy ever pulled off on us. Because it nearly disintegrated the whole thing after that. We lost our way for a while, but got through it eventually. But anyway, that's more. But I don't know how I got off on that. But that's one of those examples where it wasn't all wine and roses.
Yeah, well, people don't think about that.
No, they don't. No, and I'd seen 2 storms blow down 2 sets. The other time was a guy was lucky. He just broke a leg and a collarbone. But it was a live truss. He was a spotlight operator up, and same thing. Windstorm come up, the truss fell down, and he rode it down, and it broke his leg, but he's okay. But scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're at the mercy of the elements out there.
Yeah.
They posted something just the other night. Tommy Harden, the guy that's taken my place, is a friend of mine. Good guy, great guy. He had a post the other night where they had a storm. People were running around trying to stow gear to keep it from getting wet, and they were on the encore song. Well, it gave me some flashbacks. I know how that is. But yeah, it's what are they?
I showed you a few photos there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look at a few of these.
Back in the day,
What are these?
old photos from 70s and 80s. There, I think June Jan.
Is that Janie Fricky? No, that's not Janie Fricky. Who is that?
Naomi.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
What a doll she was in the day. We played with them some. Yeah, that's Naomi. We used to do shows with them once in a while, especially on the West Coast. I think they had a pretty big fan base out there, and I could hear them mother and daughter catfighting backstage, screaming and clawing at one another, and then they get on the stage. My darling daughter, I love you so much. It's so funny.
Boy, I loved them too. Well, they were on RCA too, wasn't
Yeah.
they? The Judds.
Yeah.
They did some June Jams. I think they did that CBS special too that Dick Clark put together.
Oh, yeah.
I think they were there. Willie and a bunch of them. Yeah, so
There's
these
old Mel.
Oh, yeah.
He was funny.
Yeah, I met him a couple times.
He was funny. And him, Roy Clark, and oh God, who's the songwriter? King of the Road.
Roger Miller.
Roger Miller hosted an award show that we did. It was hysterical.
Yeah, I bet.
Roger Miller told a story on Mel. They were touring, and Mel, he wasn't getting along with his wife at the time. He had a girlfriend, and the wife got wind of the girlfriend on the road, and she flew out to catch him, and she somehow found out where his room was, and she went knocking on the door, and he came to the door in a tutu. And he was in there playing with his little girl, and he saw it was her, and he didn't miss a beat. He goes, you like what I got you? He's wearing the thing.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah. They had him and Roy and Roger were having fun that night.
Boy, that is.
Oh, they got telling stories on one another. Roger Miller said the song. Remember that? Coy, how'd you get that Harley up there on the high dive?
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? He said that's a true story. It's a variation of. He said, but there was a motorcycle on a diving board. I'll leave it at that. So
leave that to Roger Miller to put that in something.
Yeah,
he was so clever, man. Hell of a songwriter.
Oh God. And those guys that are good songwriters like that, like Hank says, why must you live out the songs that you wrote? They draw from pretty wild life. Skinner, all those songs were true stories.
I always love that story Willie told about Crazy, because it's really simple.
Uh-huh.
He said, well, When I started to call it stupid, but I thought crazy sounded better.
Yeah. Stupid.
Oh, man.
God, we were all young fellers back then. Look at Lee Greenwood.
Oh, yeah. Those had to be like early 80s.
Oh, yeah. I can tell by the truss that was probably about 84. We had a great production company back then. Ahead of our time, really.
Those June Jams were huge, and it just like it just got bigger and bigger. I never got to go to one. Never did. But
I was there. I some of them I don't think I went to, but I was there.
the jury's still out on the...
I remember the time we flew the helicopter to the bootleggers to get beer for everybody. I almost got shot until I waved the money out the helicopter. And then he lowered the shotgun. I thought y'all was the government. No, man. We just want to clean you out on beer. I loaded the back of the helicopter full of beer. And here's Jeff wearing a sheriff's deputy. I said, Jeff, you're gonna get killed doing this. He pulled me on Galt Avenue in Fort Payne one time, and he got out of the car dressed just like that. He had a Grand Prix with 2 wigwag blue lights in the grill. Now, how he got away with it, I don't know. But he went through this phase where he wanted to be a cop. What? He pulled me in town, right down there where Glenn Earl used to have his muffler shop, and got out of the car. You know, had his swagger going. He pulled up to me and he said, "You know you're speeding." I said, "You know you're a damn fool right now, Jeff. You trying to get shot?" They're just having a little fun.
Oh, God.
I was like, "What are you doing, man?"
He was into all kinds of stuff. He just had anything from Three Stooges porcelain collection to the California raisins to the Star Trek and
anything to get attention.
Never knew what he was going to have. I was at the studio one day, and I was up there in the office part. I mean, Jeff was still alive. He wasn't there at the time, but I was up there. I had recorded a few things, and I looked over and just, just imagine like a office space with just maybe bookshelves here and there, and he's got like guitar cases just thrown down in the floor. You don't know what they are, and it could be just something that looked like he paid $10 for it, or something that's priceless from Toy Caldwell or something.
Yeah.
And I look over and it's I think it was a SG. It might have been a Les Paul, but it was a Dale Earnhardt Memorial guitar, and it's just sitting there. Yeah. I'm thinking, God, I bet the neck is wore out, bent on this thing and everything from not being played. It's like you never know. So much stuff.
So too much, really, because you get desensitized to what it really is after a while. And that's why stuff like that just gets left laying around.
Yeah.
Just after a while, it's just like I don't care.
Yeah.
I still have drums from those days. I have my first drum set I ever had. I got it. I bought it by cutting grass when I was still a teenager. I still have it. I still play it on some of Leah's shows. I have most of the first kit from the first 2 or 3 years out on the road with Alabama. Drums are funny though. They don't hold their value the way guitars do. It wouldn't be. Maybe I'm going to save my original drum kit for my grandson, but the others, they wouldn't bring $100.
Really?
Yeah, and that's unless you're some really household name drummer.
Well, hell,
in
you
drummer's
are.
world.
You are.
No, I don't feel that. I've never felt that. I've never. You said a little while ago, you said, I'm just a little guy. Well, that's the way I feel. I've never felt anything special out of this.
That's good, though.
It's humbling in a way, and it's intimidating to be cast in circles of people that you think are great.
Yeah.
You thought, what the hell am I doing here? You know, never got over that. And like you say, it's probably better in the long run.
On a lot smaller scale, I understand what you're saying.
Now here's a cocky son of a bitch.
Oh man, yeah.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Oh my goodness, he was ready for anything with them socks.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that.
Stepped right out. Looked like he just kicked Tommy Lee's ass and took his drums over.
Probably thought I could in those days. That guy that was the helicopter pilot that day, that was June Jam. That might have been the same time we'd gone to get the beer. Years and years later, I had an opportunity to learn to fly helicopters professionally. And it came time for me to take my check ride with the government, and the designator showed up, and guess who it was? It was the same guy that was the pilot for
God.
June Jam. So we take off, and it was an old helicopter. It was like a MASH helicopter, the bubble helicopter, everybody calls it. And it was a windy day, you know, and a good day for a check ride because you don't have to be super smooth. And I picked the helicopter up, and he says, give me a pedal turn to the left. I do that, you know. Just, come back, face that tree out there. And I do that. He says, hold it there for a minute. He says, now give me a normal departure. So I do that, and thing starts going boom, 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 boom. And I'm, what the hell? So I set it down. We're only about 3 feet off the ground. I set it down. I look at him. I said, I don't know what, I pre-flighted everything. I don't know what's going on here. He's an excellent helicopter pilot. He was gifted the way he could handle that machine. And great guy. He says, let me see it for a second. He's sort of like, if Charlie Daniels had been a pilot, he was this kind of guy, right? Let me see it for a second, son. He takes it. There's dual controls in there. He's sitting over here on my right, and he grabs his set of controls. He picks the helicopter up, and he turns, picks it up a little more, sets it down, picks it up, turns, goes, I don't know either. It seems okay to me. He says, take the controls and give me a normal departure. I said, okay, so I've got the controls, and I pull pitch and start pushing, and we start taking off like the way helicopters do, and we get about 300 feet off the ground, and all hell breaks loose.
Oh man.
Wham, 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 bam, 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 bam. The helicopter stands up on its tail like this. Almost went over. I'm along for the ride at this point. Reflexively, when that happened, I mean, I'm pushing, trying to correct for this. Here we are. And then the nose comes over slowly, and I've got the pitch down, and it starts settling a little bit, and then it goes like this.
Oh.
And now we're a little bit past the vertical, staring at the ground, coming down. And I've got no authority with the stick. No, it's like, okay, it's funny. I remember the texture of the grass that we were about to hit. I wasn't thinking about anything. I just thought, that's interesting the way those blades sort of look like St. Augustine grass. And we're coming down. That's where I'm going to hit. I never thought that I was going to die. I just thought that's where we're going to hit. It's coming up. Okay. Well, what I was trained to do right before you hit, you pull that pitch to cushion the impact because it did this, it did this one more time. It did not quite as far, and then it started sliding in this way, and as luck, this wasn't luck. Once again, we had more work to do. We hit flat, hard, but flat, because there was I had no authority with this. The blade was just wobbling all over the place. So I pulled pitch, did the best I could to cushion the impact, but it hit hard. I've got 4 titanium screws in my neck to prove it, and nearly cut the visor on the helmet came down and gouged the tip of my nose about off. And it hurt him. It compressed the small of his back pretty bad. He had a hard time getting out of the helicopter when finally all the excitement stopped. But it hit so hard that it spread the skids. The belly of the helicopter was on the ground. It broke the tail boom. The tail rotor dug into the ground and tore the shaft all up. And helicopter was almost totaled. And the people at the airport came rushing down there. It was over at Hartselle. A bunch of good old boys running the airport, and they come down and they look like the Taliban and them white pickup trucks coming down, flying to a stop, and there's about 4 of them in the back and 3 in the front, and they're all, y'all all right? And yeah, and they knew the guy that the designee that was giving me the check ride was named Dick Parker, and they saw everybody was okay, and I was easing out of my side, and he was getting out of his side, and they said, "What'd you pass him, Dick?" And he was shook up. He just didn't know what to say. He said, "We think you ought to. He got you on the ground, didn't he?" And he said, "There wasn't neither one of us flying that bird. We hadn't. It wasn't our time." Well, besides having a helicopter company and being a Czech airman, he was also a Baptist preacher. So well, maybe that was a good guy to have with me that day. But it's funny, that was the guy that we made the bootlegger run with. And
wow.
I went back and finished the course and finished the check ride with him about 3 months later in another machine. But we laughed about it then, but it wasn't funny that day. I said maybe that's what we get for taking a Baptist preacher on a bootlegger run. A little shot across the bow.
Lord's sense of humor coming through there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That was close.
You sly dog, you.
Oh, no, man.
I was looking at the date. It was July 20th, a little over a month ago, and we was talking about all this stuff. And I got sent this picture today, and I'm like, I couldn't quit grinning. I went to Subway, and I dropped my wallet out of my pocket, almost left it in the damn thing, and it's like, wow. That's just amazing, amazing.
Oh, I felt like a little kid all day. I was you heard me telling him I've had a busy day, but half of the day has been keeping up with my phone blowing up. So many people have commented on Messenger and texting and Facebook. It's been a blizzard, but it's good. And I don't want to read anything into this. That might be all that ever happens. And that's fine, because it was so cathartic for everybody, man. There were industry people there last night. People came down from Nashville since it was Huntsville. I saw a lot of people I hadn't seen in a long time. Some people that are in the industry that I know of, but I don't know. Man, all of them were getting teary-eyed. It was really cool. And Randy, there was no bad vibes there. I think it was I think it was on God's time. I really do. And I felt that all day. I felt like he's smiling, and he put all that together for a reason, whatever that is. I don't know, but I'm good with just everybody being so happy about it.
Man, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. Maybe we manifested something. Who knows?
I thought about that. I really did. You know, who knows? Good Lord moves in mysterious ways.
Yeah, sure does.
And I got it. It's so it felt. I mean, just from a musician standpoint of view, it felt so good to be under those lights again and playing hard. And
They were sold out too.
12, 15,000 people out there, sold out. Yeah. Sold out, and so much love and thanks goes out to all those fans out there that truly made me feel like this is right, and they were ready, and it was, they gave it back more. I mean, people don't light lighters anymore like they used to, but they all had their phones up with the lights on.
Yeah.
The place was lit up like daylight, man. So I felt welcome, both from the fans and everybody on the staff, the management, and there was no weird like, "What are you doing here?" I got there. Teddy called me. It was spontaneous, and that's probably why it happened, because it had been made a big deal and all kinds of preparations made and all that kind of stuff. I probably would have been turned off, like, "Oh man, I'm not like that."
Yeah.
So he just said, "Hey, it'd do my heart good to see you. We're just right in your backyard. Why don't you come over and hang out with us a little bit and bring some sticks just in case."
God dang.
I know. And
God bless Teddy Gentry, man.
For sticking with it.
Yeah.
I told him that because he came to the house about 2 or 3 months ago, and we sat and had a little lunch and chit chatted, and he told me then, he said, I'd love for you to come out sometime and just do it. If you can. He said, no pressure, but he said, I think it's time. We're all getting older.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't really, I was like, yeah, it wasn't the right time. We sat in the living room there and talked about it a little bit. And I was like, yeah, maybe, sure. Give me a call sometime. Maybe we'll talk about it. Well, it didn't, it kind of fizzled, and I didn't hear anything more about it. And then yesterday, I was in Montgomery. Leah was doing a big convention, a private thing down in Montgomery for Word Alive Church, where we play with the band down there. We're on regular rotation down there, and we know the pastor at Word Alive has put together, his wife has put together a huge thing called All in Alabama, and all these districts from Alabama are represented in these type churches, and there's each group comes from district. There was probably, oh gosh, 500, 600, 700 people in this banquet room in this hotel. And she did we brought a track, one of her songs that she's recorded, brought the track, and she sang with the track and brought the house down. It was an old spiritual song by Charles Johnson and the Revival called here I go, senior moment. Yes, God is real. And she put a blues flavor to it, moderned it up a little bit, made it, well, I mean, when the black folks start standing in their chairs and waving their hands in the air, there's some anointing on it. It's coming on.
Yeah.
So that was fun. That was great, and I was kind of walking on air watching her bring the spirit like that. And the phone rang, and I stepped outside, and it was Teddy. Right then. See?
Wow.
And man, he said, we're in your backyard tonight. Can you come up and can you want to come up and play some blah blah blah? I was like, oh, I'll try, Teddy. I didn't think I could make it at the time because we had to finish that thing up, and then she had already promised us out to the grandkids in Oxford. You know how that goes when you promise the kids like that. But we aborted that and just went straight to Huntsville, and I'm glad I did because it has been huge all day long.
Moments need to happen like this in music. But I told you my first song I learned to play on the guitar, all the chords to, was My Home's in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an Alabama boy, born and raised. So obviously it's very special to me, but it's special to a whole lot of people, special to the world. It's really, like you said, even if this is all that comes of it,
Mm-hmm.
this right here was a huge thing that a lot of people thought would never happen.
I was one of them.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you got a chance to revisit with Randy. And I know you had said you hadn't seen him since 2004. My God.
That's first. He walked up to me, stuck out his hand. He said, God, I haven't seen you in 20 something years. And he said, just see, I said, it's been a minute, hadn't it? And he said, yeah, maybe even a couple. He said, I like your goatee. I said, well, I'm finally old enough to grow one. We started laughing, and it was fine all the rest of the night.
He had the do-rag and the glasses,
Yeah, man, down the glasses.
I was just gonna jump out there and play, and Leah said, oh no, you're Mark Herndon tonight. You get your bandana and get them shades on, boy.
Women are smarter than us for a reason.
They sure are. I looked at all the pictures today. I'm glad that she said that because I look like a geek up there. But,
man, it's just, it's so awesome. I love seeing y'all take your bows and everything. And I saw one picture where you tried to jump up or something is it you're standing beside Randy or in between Randy and Teddy?
I used to do that 100 when we were all young guys. I used to do that all the time. They'd grab me and flip me over. Yeah. And I thought they were going to do that last night, but they didn't. So they didn't pick up the cue.
Oh, man. Everybody's asking too, like, oh, is he back with him and all this stuff now? Of course, and
well, there's nothing planned and nothing was said, and I'm just going to leave it up to that. I leave it up to. It was a great. There you go, boys, from the maker, and chew on that for a little while. And if it leads us to that, I'm all for it. If it leads it to happiness and healing for the fans out there,
and you.
I think I got it. I think I got it last night. I'm satisfied. I think the people are ecstatic, and I think there's a lot of people out there that are hopeful based on a lot of the comments I've seen today. But that is out of my control. And like I said, if all that ever happens was last night, I'm good with it. Life's too short. Bygones need to be bygones. So we're all good, I think. And if anything else is out there and it makes people happy, I'm all for that too.
I could be happy for you, man. I wanted to put this at the end of our podcast and just kind of as an update because it's just a amazing thing that happened in such a short time, just a short few weeks. We were there talking, and like you said, the healing that comes from this for everybody, hopefully that's all that matters. None of this other stuff matters. If everybody can heal and just have that moment and just, that's huge. That's everything.
Healing walks hand in hand with forgiveness, and forgiveness is everything. The power of it. not only men's fences, but it builds skyscrapers. And
Yes, sir.
It's just, that was so evident last night. And at one time, I think that was the farthest thing from anybody's mind. But it just, when it's the right time, it just is. It was magic all over again.
Well, man, appreciate you giving us the update. And, it's a little bit better doing it this way because I didn't get candle wax on my damn leg and stuff. But
oh, wait, you have to autograph this.
I showed those pictures to Leah. She said, "What were y'all doing over there?"
everybody,
Look what he's got.
Okay. Okay, for the podcast, I guess we could do it on the podcast. My wife has been a lifelong fan of Alabama. She's from California, and this is her little squirrel thing, and she wants him to autograph it.
you got to sign that.
Oh man!
I never ask anybody to sign anything, but I think if that was mine, I would have to ask you to sign that.
Wait, her best friend, Joni's best friend from California, also Beth, gave her this, and they're both. Both her and Joni are huge Alabama fans. So this is huge. It's like the coolest thing ever.
Joanie.
Yeah.
I love that you're signing that.
Making a mess is what I'm doing.
That's perfect.
Today's episode of Pickin It Out has been brought to you by Cave City BBQ, where Alabama red dirt meets hickory. So if you got a hankering for some fall off the bone ribs and pulled pork, smoked low and slow, get you some of that seasoning too. All the things, and you can put it on everything. Check out Cave City BBQ on Facebook and Instagram at Cave City BBQ. And we thank Cave City BBQ and Brian Carpenter for sponsoring today's podcast.